Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had a perfect lunch today. My name is Felix from Blanckenhagen. I'm from Germany. I'm working for RIFCON. It's a consulting company which is mainly taking care about environmental risk assessments in the progress of registration of plant protection products. Today, I want to give an outlook about the approval of fertility control products in Europe, how this maybe can work, what you have to consider, what about timelines, and what are the data requirements. First of all, the approval procedure depends on the purpose of your product. So you can, if you want to protect plants against yield loss, like here you can see, this is an oilseed rape field heavily damaged by rodents, then it's a plant protection product. If you want to use it like we heard already today from Italy against pigeon and pigeon control in cities, then it's actually a biocide. Or if you, as we heard also before, want to use it in zoos for population control, for example, then it would be a veterinary medicinal product. So it's the purpose of the product, which registration paths you have to go. Currently, our company is handling mostly plant protection products, pesticides, and therefore I will demonstrate you how a registration could possibly be and what you need for it. For fertility control products. So these guys you also already get to know. Jens told about them. It's the typical two rodent species which make heavily damage in agriculture. One is the common vole, which feeds on plant seedlings. As you can see the picture below, the damaged oilseed rape field. And the other one is the water vole, which is much heavier and more fossorial species. And it damaged, for example, apple trees. As you can see here, that's the rest of an apple tree. This is the root area, so there's nothing left. This tree is dead. You can just take them out of the soil. The normal way to control these pests, as we already heard, are rodenticides, which kills the individuals. Like for the common vole, you use normally poison cereal seeds. And for the fossorial water vole, you use pellets which are outgassing under controlled conditions in the tunnels and kill the animals. So, as we heard, fertility control could be an alternative to this killing rodenticides, and therefore they would be a plant protection product. So, what do you need if you go on the way for registration as plant protection product? I want to talk about the authorities and the regulation which take care about plant protection products. Then the registration process of a new active substance, and in the third step, the registration of the plant protection product. In the end, point number 3 is the point you put in the store, you can sell, you can buy. So it's a long run to get there. First, authorities. The main authority in Europe is the European Food and Safety Agency. It gives scientific advice on food-related risks, like on food and feed safety, nutrition, animal health and welfare, plant protection, and plant health. So plant protection is our business, though they're responsible for it. And the main regulation is the 1107 from 2009. It regulates the whole process of placing plant protection products on the market. It's a stepwise approach. So you have first to apply for an active substance. This process takes about 30 to 44 months, and you get an approval for about 10 years. There's one decision taken on an EU level, and this applies to all 27 member states. If you want to include UK, you have approved for UK separately because it's not a member of the European Union anymore. If you have registered the active substance, you need to do a second step, actually, to get your product into the store. And then you have to register your plant protection product itself. And this takes another 12 to 18 months, and you get the approval, which expires maybe approximately 1 year after the expiry date of the active substance. This is a zonal approach, so you have 3 different zones: southern zone, central zone, and northern zone. This represents more or less different climate conditions, and your product might behave differently under different climate conditions, so that's the idea behind the zonal approach. And you have to apply in each zone for a registration. And then one member state takes the decision for the zone. Okay, we start with a registration process of the active substance. What are the data requirements? So you need quite a lot of data. You need data on the chemical and physical and technical properties of your substance. You need an analytical method for your active substance. You need toxicological data and data on metabolism of your active substance. And you need data on the fate and behavior in the environment. And you need ecotoxicological data, especially on non-target species. But it's not enough to have this data package for active substance itself. You need it also for a representative product. It's actually the same data, you double it, but in this case it's the product which is used in the test and not the active substance only. And there are 2 points which need to be considered especially for your product. This is the data application, how you apply it, and the efficacy must be given of your product. These are closely related, these data sets. So a general idea of the active substance registration I can show you here. You apply at EFSA for an ID for your new active substance. Then you have to notify all the studies you've done for the active substance, and then you have to compile a dossier. This dossier is then shared between all 27 member states and is open already for first public commenting. That means every European resident can have its say on your documents. Then one member state takes the lead, for example here, the rapporteur member state Germany, and he compiles an evaluation, the so-called draft assessment report. This draft assessment report, he gives his opinion, how good the data is, what is the outcome, the quality, and what he thinks about the risk for the environment. Then you have again a second public commenting phase, and EFSA will take this draft assessment report and provide some conclusion on it. So this is all like regulatory work. Then it hands over to the European Commission. This is now the political work to need to be done. They propose the draft regulation for your substance and put it to the standing committee in the European Commission. They are members of all 27 member states, and they will vote on your product. And there you need a qualified majority so that your product is registered in Europe. Timelines. For example, you have the dossier ready, then you put it to the European Union, to EFSA. They have a completeness check if all data is there. Then it's a public commenting phase. Then the reporting member states takes 18 months for evaluation, provides a draft assessment report. Then it's again a public commenting phase. Then all these data is processed to EFSA. They take about 12 months again to make a conclusion. They provide it to the political part of the European Union, to the European Commission. They take another 9 months, and they are thinking about the approval. And then, if you're lucky, you get a registration of your active substance. So it's quite a long process, quite intensive process, many people involved. So what you have done, the first step is done. But you cannot sell anything with this first step. You have to go the second step. And this second step is the registration of the blood protection product itself. So the product, you had already to address a representative product. If the data set is the same, you don't change the product, then you can just use the same data set as for the active substance registration. But if you do slight changes in the formulation, in the mixture or whatever, to adapt it somehow, then you need again a full data set for your product, as you see there. And then you have to provide a you have to provide a dossier for each zone where you want to register your product. If you want to sell it in whole Europe, then you need a dossier for central, southern, and northern zone of Europe, and an evaluation of all 3 zones. So the process is more or less the same, but just on zonal level as for the active substance. You provide a dossier with the data, you submit to a zone, there you have a zonal rapporteur member state which takes care about the data. He makes an evaluation, a draft registration report. All member states of the zone can have their comments on it, so there's no public commenting, but all member states can comment on your product. And then they compile a final registration report, and you get the registration from the reporting member state, and in the following also from all other member states of the zone. Timelines. Again, we need about 12 to 22 months. First, you can choose your member state who does the evaluation. Then you have to say all member states where you want to sell your products to notify it. and then you have to submit your dossier. Then the reporting member state takes again about 12 months to get a registration for this zonal laboratory member state, and the concerned member state of the zone where you also want to sell your product take another 4 months to give you the registration. Okay, so the first step is done. The active substance we did, and now we already managed to get the registration for the plant protection product. So as you heard already, it's quite a long story to get there, and now we're talking about investments. Let's say a classical chemical active substance. Yeah, you need a lot of studies, you need literature research, you have to pay the reporting member state for evaluation, you have to compile dossiers, you have to for the active substance and a dossier for the product and all the administrative work. This can sum up something between 5 and 10 million euros to get your registration done. But there are some simplified registrations possible. Let's say for basic substances, as it's known, these substances are not predominantly used for plant protection products, like vinegar, or plant protection products made out of botanicals, made from plants, algae, or fungi. They have also easygoing registration. Or there are substances which are known to be of low toxicity. For these substances, the registration process is also simplified. And for microorganisms, if you can reasonably show that there's no potential of infectivity and pathogenicity on terrestrial vertebrates, it makes also this way simpler. So all the data you need to provide is decreasing. Fertility control now is not really a classical chemical pesticide. Therefore, there are good chances with a good extensively literature search that you can use more data from the public literature, that you don't have to do all the studies. And depending on the chemical properties, mechanism of action, maybe you can already waive some risks which are not given like to normal classical chemical pesticides. And the most important thing, I think, for fertility control is risk mitigation. So that means how do you apply your product? For example, if you use bait boxes. What about fertility control in agriculture? We heard a lot about benefits. Yeah, it's an alternative to classical rodenticides. It has a higher acceptability in the general public. And if you use the right application method, it's limited spread in the environment. Like if you think of a normal overspray chemical pesticide, it's just oversprayed over the field, so it's spread over the whole agricultural field. So if you can avoid this, then you're already on a good track for registration. What about political interests? We know that there's an EU initiative on non-chemical alternatives for rodent control. Now, fertility control is not a non-chemical control, but at least it's not a killing control. So there might be some potential that the EU stays positive regarding the registration of fertility control products. And the next point is that you need to reach out authorities, politics, to promote an easier registration. We know this like from biocontrol manufacturer associations, which have a big group and are in close contact to the European Commission and also regulatory authorities, and it's called the IBMA, and they have achieved an easier registration like for microorganisms. So there is potential, but you need a lot of work and contacts to get it running. Last but not least, there's a very interesting paper regarding how to develop fertility control for rodents from Joanna and from Jens. And we need captive studies on individuals. So at our company, we have lab facilities and semi-field enclosures. You need a model. We have a ready-to-use model for common roads in our company and a modeling team, which could provide support. And we do a lot of large field trials, and we are very experienced in these large field trials. However, we get also all theoretical support from us you need for the registration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations for your talk, very interesting. My question is, there is any advantage and also EFSA collaborating for similar organization like in US, FDA, and if we have products already registered, for example, in US, all this process can be quickly or not? Thank you.
Well, what we need from the classical plant protection products is that you can use the studies done after EU regulation are accepted also in the European Union, even if they are not following strictly the European Union protocols. So that's, I know. So it's beneficial if there's data and you can try to transfer the data to Europe, but then maybe there are still data gaps you have to fill up. Yeah? But you can go in contact, like if you want to get a registration and say, okay, that's what we have. You can have some kind of pre-submission meeting and try to clarify what is needed, what they want to see, and what work needs to be done. So it's always worth getting in touch, get a meeting, and present what you have and see what they want further.
I have a similar question. If you had a product that was licensed for use on one species and you wanted to use it on a different species, would you have to approach it as if it were a new product, or could you get like a conversion?
I think it could be a label extension so that you try to increase your use. This is a process which is easier to go. Let's say like this. You have also to provide data, but you have not start from the scratch. But you have then also to provide that it works for the other species, and also that it's safe to use it. So the application method and so needs to be very similar to the first product you registered.
I hope I can explain a little bit. I've asked a professor to write a report, and he said it all works, and then he can use it like a cascade. You know what it means, cascade? I think it's the same thing she means, different medicine.
Okay.
Do you have any information about that?
No.
No.
It's like a veterinary product.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also fertility control.
Yeah, but I think because we are now looking, it's always dependent on the purpose. The veterinary medicinal products are different way of registration, different authorities, different game. Yeah? If you go for your pigeons, it's a biocide, different authorities, different game to play. And if you go with plant protection product, you go the way I showed. So it's separated, even it's the same. Yeah?
Thank you very much. That was fascinating. Is anybody doing cost-benefit analysis? Who would put up 5 to 10 million euros to create something, to put something on the market?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, great.
Just we are supporting products from the beginning to the end. And we
speak to you when we have a product. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your presentation suggests that a contraceptive product that would be for rodents would be a plant protection product. Is that what I understood?
Yeah.
Although the rodenticides that are registered in the EU now are biocides, aren't they?
No. You have to, all you use in agriculture are plant protection product, pesticides. That's it. And these are for rodents only zinc phosphate, nothing else. Biocides you use like for human safety. Yeah? You use it against rats in towns, for example. And there you have different products still allowed, like I can't say this word. Anti-chloride, I don't know. You know what I mean. So it's a different area of registration. And more products are registered as biocides because it's for human safety. There's more allowed than in agriculture. Agriculture is more strict than biocides.
So excuse me, a product for a feral hog, because the feral hog is doing agricultural damage, would be registered as a plant protection product.
Yeah, the point is, we don't have any fertility control as plant protection product in Europe. So I tried to get some information from authorities. And the reply was, if you use it in the context of agriculture, it's a plant protection product. But it always depends how it works, the mode of action, which the substance is made of, and so on. So that means you need to start talking, and maybe there open up here and there a window, maybe for an easier way. If you don't talk, it has just to go the complicated way. Yeah?
Felix, from your experience, is there any other products in the pipeline or actives that are likely to be registered in the European Union, be it for rodents or other types of wildlife?
No. So the only one is zinc phosphate, and there some people are thinking of aluminium phosphide, works similar as zinc phosphide, but it's not yet registered. Yes, they're toxic, very toxic. So that's the point. But the toxicants.
Meaning toxic to the animal, toxic to wildlife, toxic to agriculture.
Why are they registered? Because the application method is safe, you know? You have to put it in bait boxes, you have to put it in the burrows, you have to put it safe into the burrows of the animals, and then you don't spread it in the environment, you don't waste it, you know? So the application method is key. And if your rodenticides are registered, which are very toxic, and they are allowed, then it depends that the application is safe. And that's what you need also like for fertility control products. Because there are actually hormones, they are endocrine active, whatever, otherwise they don't work. And the European Union don't want endocrine active substances in the environment. So you have to apply it in the way that it doesn't spread in the environment, and there's no risk for other non-target species and human safety. So that's the key. That's what I said. If you can provide a method with a safe application, many risks will vanish maybe, and then it's easier to go.